Hello and welcome to the Six Sales podcast. My name is Mike Nicholson from Six Sales. This episode is sponsored by Lumen Research, the eye tracking technology company that is helping to expand our understanding of attention, what people look at and for how long, and helping brands to turn that attention into action. So thanks for the sponsorship to Lumen Research. Today I'm going to be speaking to Richard Hicks, the COO at C Screens. Rich, how are you?
Good. Thank you.
Yeah?
Very good.
Very good. Excellent.
Relaxed.
I like it.
Yes.
Relax
For once.
Relax is good. It's quiet. It's chill. It's nice day outside. So we're downstairs with no sunshine, but
Or air.
welcome. I think this is the first time you've been on the podcast.
First time.
It's not good enough, is it?
No, I mean, although I think we tried quite a few times.
We did. Should we skip on? I've still got a little bit of that illness actually, all these weeks later. But anyway, little guitar, little violin.
Guitar.
Not guitar, no, that's Oasis, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So could you give us a little bit of a potted history of your career to date, please, mate?
Career to date. How I summarise it from starting in media, 16? It's a week after my GCSEs. I don't think they're called their GCSEs anymore, where there was no internet, etc. So I went straight into media. Started off graphic designer, as a media agency. From there, went to another media agency, did planning and buying. And then from there, I then did my first sales job, which you might know, at the Daily Express.
That's where we met.
Yes. That many.
Feels like another lifetime ago, doesn't it?
It does. And I think things have probably changed since then quite a lot. So yeah, Daily Express, do you know what? I think that's where I learned the best craft for sales. Definitely impressed, and definitely, you just know your business inside and out.
There's a lot of people that have ever come across the Express that say if you can sell there, you can sell anywhere, because it was the national, the newspaper. Let's say it was second in a 2-horse race in terms of the mid markets, and it was pretty aggressive, and there were quite high targets, and the rates were not proportionately lower to the circulation. So people generally thought if you've been at the Express and you came out smiling, then you're probably going to be able to sell anything.
I think it brought us all together more. I think that's all you got is the share of voice drum banged, which is interesting because in my market, they don't tend to talk about share of voice as much. So we're having to distill some old school there. And then after that, so then I went into the publishing consultancy, which were a company that dealt with all Bauer titles. So I launched the inserts division there. From there, news magazines, which was News International's launching new magazine division, did a lot of inserts there, display, etc. So a lot of press. And then from there was then when I went into digital. That was the .com boom days. You had .com, Unanimous. I was at E-Type, the initiatives. But I don't want to bore you to tears as well. But that's when I got to do what I wanted to do, which was new things. Coming out with the first cost per engagement product across Facebook with Video Egg, which is now I think called Say Media. Launching new formats, getting research behind them. I quite liked that, and the .com boom days were very interesting. You worked hard, you played very hard, but got paid very well. Probably paid too much, definitely at that age. But they were good days. You learned a lot, and from then I went into now quite a big company, but was Tremor Media. I think they're now Nexon. And from there, that was my true, this into VOD, video, pre-roll. And then from there, that's when I went on to ITV. And that's when I worked with my brother for the first time. Learned a lot at ITV back then. But I was lucky to be head of mobile, which then after the iPhone, when smartphones started to come out properly, I remember back then as well.
This is the potted history as well. Yeah.
They were going to me, what are you doing? No one's going to watch video mobile. You're crazy. I was like, definitely crazy, but you're not crazy until it's proven right. Yeah. Okay. So had to try and get water uphill a lot there. So I learned a lot about politics, selling internally, getting a lot of teams together. So it was licensing, programming, legal, procurement, developer. So the great thing was I was instrumental in launching ITV on mobile, all their products, PlayStation, all those sort of connected devices. And that's when it led on to, after about 3.5 years there, it was sort of like I've sort of hit a glass ceiling on innovations and there was restructuring going on. So then after that, that was when I was like, right, I want to do my own thing. And I could sort of see that premium VOD, this probably leads on to how why C Screens was born, was like, my brother and I were there and we were like, so you got video, mobile, video, etc., etc., etc. And it was like, okay, that's now hitting a glass ceiling, and especially with linear. VOD's coming up the ranks, but then YouTube started to and you can see all these players starting to happen. So we were like, well, I don't know, like we sort of thought, what's scalable? The cost of screens are coming down, and we just thought out of home seems to be a very brand and consumer safe environment, and it's just seemed like a natural progression. Originally, we tried to do a video network. C Screens was a video network, a VOD network of all platforms. We just couldn't get the premium inventory, right? It's all sold out, it's all traded. So we were like, well, we're going to create that. We're going to create the inventory. And that's how we were like, right, let's test with C Screens. And then that's how that was then born. And we've been doing C Screens for between 10 and 11 years. The first year we don't count because that was whenever you start a business, that's you're in a dungeon, no food, no drink, if you've mortgaged for the business, etc. So you go through what's working, what's not. And then we just got traction for as soon as the agencies understood, it's TV at home. It should be treated as its own platform. Yeah. Digital at home is not audio. There's no content. It's not high dwell. It does a great job, but we do the best of both worlds. So yeah, so that's.
So you kind of bled into my next question, which was going to be about C Screens. So who are C Screens essentially? Who do you work with? What do you do with them? How do you do it? And why do they like that?
Indeed. Well, the C stands for connecting, just to let you know. A lot of people have their own interpretations. So just getting that out there. Yeah. And hence what we want to do, the whole video network, you're connecting all screens. Yeah. So what we now do is connect the screens out at home. So what we do is simplified. How to get there is the dark art, very tricky, a lot of complex elements to it, which we'll go into later. But like for now, it's the simplest terms. It's like, right, I don't know, like Universal Films are running around live. They've got like a live bit of sport or any bit of content. What we'll do is we'll basically go to the agency and go, right, we can extend your reach with live TV or our catch up, as it were. So we basically take their booking, their creative. Obviously, there's a lot more involved with regards to how we forecast the audience and the numbers, which again, I can go into a bit more when we talk about, I don't know, maybe we talk about measurement later, for example. So that's kind of key because TV uses Barb. So for us, there was a big education piece where we're not on Barb, but we've got premium TV content. And, it was a bit of we had to get their trust. And also they had to be brave, the agencies as well, to go, do you know what? You should be doing this. If you're buying that program on linear, you should be running it with C Screens because you can't be in both places at the same time with live content. So, we're going to help them increase their reach with all the TV targeting, reporting that they are used to. And then we then run that through our own video player. Okay, so it has to be bespoke, the video player that we've built with the CMS. So that stops any buffering. That runs live content, catch-up content. We can change the channel from our office in Scotland. We can change the audio. So imagine like we've got the remote, as it were, through our video player. So that's key. So we take the video creative, we then run it out to the audience, then we report back to the agency on the performance metrics, basically. So, and the campaigns of now average campaign budget has gone up and up and up, because they're getting more scale, more reach, and it's more transparent.
Okay. So in order to get that, so you're basically creating the inventory, which enables brands to get extended reach. Can you talk a little bit about how that happens? So you've got landowners, I think you refer to them as like your partners, where they have dwell time, they have audiences that are coming, and then you obviously put screens and content into there. So can you talk a bit about how that happens in order to build this?
Totally. There's two. I'll probably give you like two different channels that we call them, but other people might call them networks. So Power League, for example, people go there, they play five-a-side, they go to the bar afterwards or before, and they'll be eating, drinking, and they'll be watching football content. So first of all, we if they haven't got screens, we'll get the screens there. We're basically a one-stop shop for the landowner as well. So for Power League, for example, so we will go and license relevant football content in its simplest form. This is obviously a bit tricky. In your world, the landowner is almost like the publisher. Yeah, and we're the content provider, we're the ad server, with the video player, we're everything else, right? So we make sure that they approve that content as well, and then we'll basically run the ads around that specific content. But what we'll do is do different content throughout the day. So the Power League audience, like a pub audience, etc., they don't just have Sky on all day. They don't just have TNT on all day. They've got different content. We might have AFP content as well, which we're doing, or curated content. So we've now got Power League to film some of their games, and we're making montages for them. So that's marketing for them. That keeps them happy. All the people that go and play, they might see themselves on the screen as well. So that's more engaging for them. It's more bespoke. And then when there's a live game on, we'll show Sky Sports, and we won't run any ads around that, interfere with that game. We'll make sure that experience is still there. But we're starting to get license deals though, where are more exclusive, So for retail sites, it's interesting because you don't go to a shopping centre to watch TV. Whereas when you go to a bar or a pub or one of our pop-up screens, you're going there to watch that live game, right? Because that we can see that by the audiences and also by our marketing and the websites. People go, are you showing Wimbledon today? Are you showing this? So we follow what people want to watch.
Walk past my local on the way here, it's a sports pub. It's got all sorts of sports on the blackboard outside. They market everything around that, right? Because that's how they get people in, and that's how they're able to pay the huge amount of money that you have to pay Sky in order to have that that commercial license.
So you've got that's in its simplest terms of content. And then for the retail sites, we're doing anything from, like this year, we did really, really good numbers, fun enough, in the Olympics. Reason being is our landowners also have a database. We have a database. We ask those people who regularly go, what would be, there's also like more fashion, beauty content going up on those screens. And then it was just the Olympics that was interesting, and how we could see that was interesting for them. Again, our screens are where the food, it's always where high dwellers. Okay, so the food and drink courts, they've got nothing to do. There's a big screen. We can run any daytime TV if we want, if not, but actually they want something a bit more current. And that's why we're now going into a different field. We've just done a deal with TikTok for their premium content. So now we're being a bit more clever with not just the broadcasters with the linear extending their content and reach with advertising, but also more bespoke video licensing deals with people like your TikToks, which is only premium content. We're helping them extend. So what you'll start to see in our space is people are seeing the value of getting the content. Back in the day, you'd have to pay for the content and monetize it. I've now got people coming to me with rev shares deal because I'm just getting the eyeballs that they're sometimes not getting, maybe for their CTV app, So
how, in terms of a percentage or just like a rough idea, how much of the content that a Power League or a retail outlet or whatever run is the same whatever, and how much of it is changed based on the brief you get from the brand?
Yeah. Okay. So what we tend to do is first of all, what's changed is we've become more hyper targeted. Okay. it's still a brand experience, it's brand response. This isn't DRTV as such, but we are launching some new ad formats around that, which you'll probably see in the press soon. But and we've been testing it for ourselves with regards to C Screens running its own TV competitions. Rob and I learned at ITV that works very well. Yeah. So now we're doing our own. Win a Chance of a Holiday. It's a C Screens TV commercial, and we're finding that our viewers quite like those sort of those commercials which we're putting in. But we make sure first of all that when the brief comes through now from the agencies, I want to extend 16 to 34 men. Power League's probably going to be on their radar. But then we drill it down to, okay, location, time, and then, because time's important, because the ages differ throughout the day. So we try and make less wastage because we can serve an ad real time or cache it. And then
might be kids in schools in a Power League in the morning, and then adults in the evening,
and we're also tracking the genders, etc. So age, genders, social demographics. So we do all the measurement on the audience side. So they go, right, okay, you can then extend that reach for that demographic. But then they go, right, then we'll go, right, but also the content, if it is around a live football game or if it's around the other content, the CPTs tend to reflect that as well. But we let them know what programming they're running against, and it's key. And at least they know as well that when they're running it, it's going to be brand safe and consumer safe, because we're out of home, we're one to many. We have to make sure that everything is the way it should be, which I don't always see in CTV at home at the moment, which is a bit of a worry when it comes to high salt, fat, sugar. I'm still seeing ads, alcohol, this sort of ads around kids content because they're IP targeting, not contextually targeting. At the end of the day, if it's a cartoon, and that TV is registered to the parent, if you're using pure data and no contextual relevance, it's going to be a bit open to the odd mistake, I think, Right. So it's not for every single app or every, but I've seen that firsthand.
Since you brought CTV up, how well can you frequency cap? Because I think that's another issue that CTV, as a teething problem, is perhaps having. We watched something on, I can't remember what channel it was, but it was one of these fast channels, and we vowed never to watch it again, because we got the same ad over and over and over again, and there was it felt like 1,000 breaks in this box set we were watching, and we're like, it's almost unwatchable.
Let's cut to the chase as well. I mean, you need consistency, but you don't need to. There can be a big negative effect on that. So, no, we could totally frequency cap because we own the player. So we're very proud that we answer all of the CTV issues: transparency, frequency capping, programming being passed through the bid stream. And we do a really good job for landowners because they're getting rev shares, which they don't get. They don't normally get that from media owners. That helps them keep people there, spend more money, they're happy. And, it's imperative for the TV industry, where linear eyeballs are going slightly down. We're plugging in that gap, whether that will be a Sky one day or it will be an Amazon doing it doesn't matter for us. We're controlling the content. It's just what's going to be where the license is. So I'm rambling on a bit there, but
no, it's good. I saw something on LinkedIn this week. Ian Whitaker wrote about CTV, and I commented that if you'd have taken the word CTV out of it, it could easily have been about online video like 16 years ago when you and I first kind of launched into it when it was super new. No one really knows what budget it comes out of, who's buying it. Is it VOD? Is it TV? Is it digital? And similar problems with CTV. What do you see at C Screens in terms of whose budgets it's coming out of, who's buying it? Is it fairly straightforward, or are you having that kind of bun fight between digital, outdoor, TV, VOD teams?
I think we're in a transition phase. So our money's TV and AV, mainly TV buyers and planners, but the TV guys is quite easy for them to justify it, especially when we report back on impacts and ratings. which our methodology and all its measurements been audited by RSMB that audit Barb. So they're quite comfortable with that. I think with the CTV market, you're right. And again, TV is just an interesting, old-fashioned way of looking at it here. It's a screen, it's got TV content, and we can go down in a rabbit hole of what's TV, what's not TV. I won't even go there. You know, I think the CTV ad tech chaps have had enough say on that, along with the pineapple chat as well. But I'm looking at the CTV angle. So CTV, it looks like we're having to do something new in the market. And the CTV money will come through, the programmatic money will come through the CTV guys, okay? Whether that in time will still be the TV extending, but what we're seeing is the agencies, AV as one is starting to be planned and then bought, you know, separately as well.
So AV's at the very top, and then TV, CTV, VOD is all underneath.
Yeah, I think that's what's sort of starting to happen. That's what I hear from my sales guys, and also I'm starting to see it, and that's why when you're at the CTV group and the IB, you have a lot of good people there. You've got a lot of digital experience, but what we don't want, and that's what you're alluding to, is what happened with the ad networks and the online video networks. When I see someone sending me the amount of SSPs that they're plugged into is horrific. We know a lot of the inventory on the SSP side is not exclusive. It's traded. So a lot of stuff at the moment, when it's premium content, is still PG, PMP based, right? A lot of it is still that. It's not bid on because of various reasons. So we find that at the moment, TV guys are booking with us straight carrier, IO, standard the ways they normally do. But the programmatic, we're just starting to get a little bit of momentum now. The biggest challenge we've had is that programmatic, again, it's very black and white sometimes, the computers. So it's like, right, so digital out home, which everyone still thinks that we are, which we're not, has a certain tech lab have also done the technology where it's approved of the multiplier. Everything is like standard, right? The multipliers, etc. Then you've got CTV, which the average multiplier is 1.4. So what the CTV, some programmatic players in the tech market, because they're not doing maybe or other platforms, they will need to start doing this. They're going to have to start amending.
Being digital out of home, just to unacronym this.
And CTV is connected TV, just in case. Yeah. But connected television.
What was Rich again?
Rich. Is that for this podcast?
Yeah. No, definitely not.
No. You know, and I think it will start to merge a bit more because you've got the CT. When it's digital guys and pure programmatic, they're still talking almost impression based and this and that. Right. It's a shared experience a lot of the time. So I feel like there needs to be old school sensors, new school sensors, and merge it. So I think the CTV will start buying programmatic once we've got these multipliers working on their back end, which is normally the SSP end, and then the DSPs. The ad servers are all they can adapt, they can modify accordingly, you know. So I think that's the last bit for us, and we'll start to see. And in time, does the TV and CTV budgets merge? It sort of makes sense. And then you've got the VSP, video sharing platforms, which are an Amazon. Again, a load of new brands, programmatically, you know, it's not all programmatic, obviously. But the main thing is new brands come to the market. That's a big tick box, you know, and they're getting onto the shared screen, which we all know, AV, emotion, it can't beat building a brand through any platform that can do that for you. Yeah. So I feel like that's a really good thing. And those are Brands Direct plugins, but the digital agencies and all these smaller agencies can now buy smaller campaigns rather than going through. This is the problem with old school TV, especially in the UK. It's all the bureaucracy, really. I can hardly ever say that, but it's really hard to get that spot on that in that program, people, when you start looking at it, it's a lot.
You have to commit quite a lot of money up front as well. And
this can be bang, plan, ball, as long as you've got the pipes all plugged in. We will get there. At the moment, going back to what you said, it is a bit wildy westy at the moment when it comes to, luckily we don't have this problem, all the fast channels, and everyone's like, oh, I'll bundle the inventory, and we'll make sure that it goes level across each app, TV app. We all know that 20% of that's going to be weighted towards where they need to weight it, and 80%. So I think there's be more transparency, like you said, in the frequency cap, how's that's delivered. And it's interesting, the reporting, right? So you've got Origin trying to get in this space. You've got C-Flight doing the TV space with Barb. In America's Nielsen's based reporting on TV. So I think what will be interesting is in the in-home is how Barb and C-Flight, they still have a huge influence, and how the measurement in-home. I mean, it's quite clear with Amazon and Netflix going on Barb, they're playing the game that needs to be played. It hasn't got a huge panel, but it's one of the most sophisticated panels.
Yeah. So for those that don't perhaps know the ins and outs of TV measurement, and when I say those, I mean me, it's mainly Barb, right, in the UK?
Barb.
And so when TV planner buyers are buying a campaign, they're relying on Barb to measure it, essentially.
Exactly that, overnight, next day, forecasting, etc. Then you've got C-Flight, which is Comcast owned, right, which again, they're starting to. I think they've got like zero party data across like 7 million, because obviously they've got the Sky data, right? So you've got all the in-home data, mobile data, Sky Mobile. You've then got all the other extra AdSmart bells and whistles. So them merging information with Barb just makes it a lot easier and a lot better for the TV world. Plus, with Amazon and Netflix going into it, it's interesting how YouTube are still not working with Barb and C-Flight. How long can you mark your own homework for? I don't know. But they're, I think 34% of YouTube's viewing now is through the TV in the UK. Mm-hmm. So, naturally from desktop to mobile.
My daughter's 20. She watches pretty much YouTube is all she watches on TV.
Exactly. And they're a video sharing platform, all right, at the end of the day. And that's where they sit in the VSP sort of world. Again, their budgets are display video, digital, programmatic, a little bit of TV, etc. So, like your question earlier about it needs to, it's still a bit fragmented.
Right.
And I think also the Wild West that you and I are talking about, what's happened is everyone's gone land grabby and gone, right, I've raised a load of money. I'm coming into this country, in this marketplace, and I'm on all of these plugged in. And they've spent loads of time on all these integrations. What will happen in time, as we both know, is that some of those players will win and get bigger. Some of those players just won't be able to compete, Do they have exclusive? What are their USPs? If every SSP has every other people's inventory, what is their USPs?
Talking of exclusivity then, does anyone else sell your inventory other than you?
No, just us. Yeah, just us, and straight to the TV guys. Just give them the best service that we can. And like I said, it's all about the post-campaign reporting, because they're used to Barb overnights with just numbers, etc. We will have photographers going down there. Sometimes we make videos of the campaigns. We'll have research backing up a lot of them, because we have to prove how that's worked,
So you mentioned that TV buyers are predominantly, anyway, your customers from a brand point of view. So they're the ones sort of buying TV on TVRs, and when they measure in-home TV, they're looking at Barb. What does the measurement piece look like with C screens for these guys?
So we follow suit of basically how Barb report. We are the sort of Barb for our channels in out of home. So we thought, okay, the agency's bought into it, thankfully, and we respect that because they trust us. But at the same time, let's get ourselves audited by the guys that audit Barb as well. Okay, it gives us a bit more of a gold standard, silver standard sort of recognition to them, because they've got to go back to their brands. ITV, Sky, Channel 4, C screens? Who, what? Why are they on the plan? And so, after time, it's taken to beat that drum. But the most important thing on how we get there, right? So we have mobile data for demographics. We'll either buy third party in and overlay it with our own. All right, so we run our own QR codes for our competitions, and we're getting viewer data back. Not, that might be that person because we've got that data in that app. We found that all that didn't work for us. Not even mobile IDs as well, because of the whole GDPR, etc. So the demographic side of things wasn't the hard bit. The hard bit we had to get really is the footfall and what we call attendance, right? So footfall in our world is people that walk past and there's an opportunity to see. Attendance is deduped people that are there longer than just walking past the screen. So, sorry?
Yeah. Just you're tapping there. You're so passionate, which is great. But you might be tapping Morse code to the listeners. So.
What did I just send as well? Was it?
You just said that buy C screens.
Time for a coffee.
Yeah, buy C screens, please. More. Every plan. I didn't catch the last bit.
So going back to that, and to simplify it, right? So attendance is key, and how we actually have our own technology. We licensed it and then we tweaked it because we like doing bespoke stuff to make sure it's measured. So there's tracking devices out there, right? And they measure MAC codes of mobile devices. So if it's on Wi-Fi search, which about 90% of our devices are constantly on Wi-Fi, you don't always take it off. We've got research behind that. We then pick up your MAC code, which is a long code of a phone. Now, there are MAC code scramblers through iOS. That's why our technology, unlike the others, refreshes all the time. So that MAC code is GDPR compliant. We're not tracking your device ID. Okay? That, we then know if you're going past it or not and how long you're there for. That's key.
Right.
No other device is tracking the dwell time as accurately as us. Now, we've done cross-referencing with landowner zero-party data. We're 15% out. That's not bad discrepancy, right? Definitely. So all of our formulas take that into account. So the key is there's that MAC code, and that MAC code's been in front of that screen for an hour. You've served them 4 ads. That's how we work out our impacts.
Okay, and what does the MAC code tell you? I mean, it obviously tells you that there was a person there. It doesn't tell you any data about that person. It just tells you that that unique device was in front of the screen for an hour and they saw 4 ads.
100%. And then what we're doing is when we're running our own QR codes and other ways of getting people to react to our commercials for winning a holiday, etc., we found that a high percentage of people that scanned that, and I don't want to say all the great stats because we're going to PR in this soon, but what it does, it's really interesting how many people accepted the opt-in to give us their data. Right, it was really surprising. Maybe because it's in an out-of-home trusted environment and it's around TV content again. Like I found it was just really interesting. And so we then got their age, their gender, and we're now allowed to market them. So we can now ask them questions. And we've got the viewer there and then, all right? A lot of people are going, attribution to household data. That's great, and we can do that. But this is, that device was there. And they've registered for their data. So you can't, nothing can beat that. I know that out of home use route, etc. But as a business, you've got to have your own data and then decide which are the best third parties to start, merging that data with. You can't just keep buying third party. Your business just won't. There's no sustainability in it.
Yeah, cool. So we mentioned. So let's go back to the places that this happens. So we talked about Power League, pubs. You've got a big pub network in the UK.
We are rolling out into pubs. Yes, we've got a few on board because the Power League is such a success for us and for the landowner to the point where they're going to use us with the ad revenue for them to create new Power Leagues. great. We're helping their business, and they grow, we grow. You know, we grow, they grow. Sorry. So I feel like, and we all know, live sport, you know, is where still linear eyeballs are strong and always will be. Live sport and live moments that people can share and talk about, you know. So we're going to get more and more. The brands like it. We're just about to do an exclusive TV out of home license deal with 3 major women's sports right holders. Our landowners, I think, you know, landowners have got a remit to increase women's sport out there. We don't carry much women's sport outside the Olympics, so you know we're going to do that. We're going to measure the engagement, hopefully attract different brand categories as well. You know, I think that's a good thing. We're doing a good thing for women's sport. We're doing a good thing for the landowner, and getting brands. It'd be interesting as well to help them with the scale. At the moment, you know, women's sport is getting more and more popular, but it needs to get to a bigger scale of audiences because it's still interesting, actually. So we're going to track the genders and the ages on who's watching it, and we can tell if it's engaging because we know how long they're there for. If they quickly go, or sometimes it's really interesting in our market. In TV, there's X amount of complaints, isn't there? And then Ofcom get involved, etc., etc. So we will get, if someone's not happy with what's on the screen, they do this. Trust me, they will go to our website, find our phone number, and say, "Can you change the TV channel?" Or "I don't like this." And it's just interesting engagement. You know, you can't please everyone because it's a shared experience. Yeah. But we have direct.
I wouldn't dream of doing that. That's funny.
But yeah, they think it's like it's their TV. Yeah. And it's just interesting that we have that direct communication, dialogue with our audience, even though we're at home.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got pubs, you've got Power League, we've got retail outlets that we talked about. Yeah. Are there any other sort of categories of landowners that we've missed where you have screens?
Yeah, funny enough. So not a sexy network, but service stations. So within welcome breaks, we do the big screens. That's AV again, because we have to get planning for audio for the food courts. Okay. Huge numbers, and sometimes people are there just working all day from these places. Huge numbers. Again, really varied content. You know, we do like BBC Travel, obviously. We'll have, and it's interesting. Our landowners. This is another interesting one where we've been told to stop showing news because it's too negative for the public, and especially BBC is constantly about wars at the moment, and it's not going to attract brands. People don't want to watch it. It's really so. It's kind of interesting that you'd always have news in the morning, right? As content, not for us. Okay. We have to have something softer. So again, we're looking at other information getting to people. There's more positive news, but we're going to have to look at again different content people. So that does really well, that network, for numbers. Reason why we have these are we have to have something that's always on. All right, everyone's used to C screens as summer live. It's just the summer and it's big pop-up screens. Yes, we're the biggest at that. I mean, this year we did alone 20 something sites across the UK for 4 months. Trust me, that's like 24 live events going on for 4 months. It's logistic, very, very tricky to execute. For brands, it's brilliant.
And what sort of places were they in? Like,
so you're talking everything from Spitalfields to, you know, King's Cross Canal to all of these sort of, and then Scotland, city centres, a couple of beaches as well. But you need, with the UK weather, you need something. We're doing more and more stuff that's more covered. Plus, we need these always on channels. I suppose the reason why the brands excites them are they're really big, they're shining. But what you can do, and our landowners are now understanding this, it does a job for them, right? It enlivens the spaces. That's their briefs. How do you enliven our land? That's normally the brief. So we'll go, right, we're a one-stop shop. Food and beverage, screen, content, experiential, right? So one of the best campaigns we liked, well, Rob and I did years ago was around Wimbledon. It was at Broadgate, Liverpool Street. And we got Robinsons to sponsor it. So Rob and I just were like, let's play around with this. Let's not just do ads around Wimbledon when we can. So we did the sponsorship. We built umpire chairs because we said to Robinsons, you sponsor, like you do a lot of stuff around Wimbledon. What have you got that you can give us that's a bit unique? This was years ago. And they said, well, we've got a camera, a specific Robinsons camera filming at a different angle, Wimbledon. I went, that's all we need. So we built these umpire chairs. We got VR goggles where that was linked into their feed. So we thought, right, so Robinson samples, juice. So you can drink Robinsons while watching Wimbledon. Excellent. You then got an experience from Robinsons where people will climb up to these umpire chairs and just see Wimbledon from a different angle. It just got everyone more engaged, and Robinsons for them, the uplift was superb. They got a load of first. So I think for brands, you can really encompass everything, contextually, experientially. There's PR that lives on for that. Consumers are trying your brand, they're giving you feedback, blah 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 blah. For the landowner, this was just like they've never had that amount of footfall, so they were like, "This is great." And I think what you're seeing is more and more districts, councils. There's going to be more of these. We're not the only people that do this now. But like next year, we're going to double our footprint because it's so popular. And for the food and beverage stalls, people don't have to go. I mean, we've even had, I think, Justy or those type of brands where people are ordering food there. So now we're like, well, if we have the food and beverage there, and like we do with Pimm's around Covent Garden, around Wimbledon, we'll have a Pimm's stand there next to Pimm's sponsored screen. I mean, they're doing about £40,000 in sales a week. Nice. So, product placement, as it were. But we're going to do that in TV soon. We feel like we want to start getting product placement out there in the out-of-home space.
Yeah, sounds good. How would you scale that? Or is this very much, to start with, it's like we're going to do Covent Garden or we're going to do Liverpool Street? Or is that something you could, for Pimm's, let's say, around Wimbledon? Or could you say, right, well, we're just going to roll this out across all of our big sites across the whole country for the whole fortnight?
So it's hugely scalable. During the summer, we're reaching about 13 million uniques during the summer. Now,
a month.
Yeah. And what that could do is we're well, I would say scratching the surface. There is a danger though, so you need to get in there early, but then the landowner hasn't got huge footfalls at that current time. So you've got to, it's very difficult.
Build it and they will come.
Exactly that. Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Great film. And then we've got, so I think it's totally scalable. What we find is that brands don't do a whole national campaign with us. They tend to geo-target stuff. And that might be because, we've got new outlets opening around that. But I think in time we will get sponsorships across the whole national footprint. It's more cost effective than a lot of other sponsorships around TV. But I think that will come when more TV and more measurement is out there as a standard, shall we say, for them to go, okay, instead of me giving you 50,000 or 200,000, I'm going to give you 5 million, right? It's a big jump.
Yeah.
It's very, again, easy for the TV player and buyer to go sponsor this program because they're familiar, the client's familiar with Sky or ITV or this or that, So,
you just basically follow the program outdoors.
Exactly that, exactly. And we always say out of home, right? Because I like the way you said outdoors, because everyone thinks when they say outdoor, everything is outdoor. We've got screens inside Power League. We've got screens inside service stations. We've got screens inside pharmacies. We've got screens inside a lot of pubs. So out of home suits it better than outdoor. Because at the beginning, everyone's like, oh, you're the summer events outdoor business, eh? And that's why we thought, do you know what? We have to do an education piece here. They're right. Everyone thinks that outdoor is only summer. and it's outdoor. I mean, the underground isn't outdoor, is it, when you're buying that? So
yeah, okay. So putting you on the spot a little bit, I guess, but if I had a TV campaign around the Football World Cup, let's say, and I was Nike, what would you recommend that I do with you? What would you do with that?
straight away I go speak to our top salesperson.
Great swerve.
There'll be many things, but if it's around the World Cup, that means we're probably doing, you'd have the pub network, you'd have the Power League network. So that's extending your TV, very easy, simple reach.
Can you change the creative based on the teams that are playing? So if England are a Nike team and they're playing, then it comes on, and if it's, I don't know, Germany or an Adidas team, it goes off. Like
100%. And this is what we're looking to do. We're doing more dynamic ad serving and content, etc. And the other bit, answer your question, would be with the pop-up screens, the big sort of live event stuff. It'd be how much we would propose creative ideas and how much that brand can get immersed. You know, do they have any assets for experiential? Do they have a talent? We did something with Lab Bible and around, I think it was the Euros, and we did it with Sky, where they were filming. They had Teddy Sheringham down there, all that sort of stuff around the sites. They filmed on our site with people engaging and etc. They use that content for their online traffic.
Right.
So you can create content in that environment and share it. There's value to that. So I think with this, there would be like, you know, is it a specific football boot or is it a women's trainer or whatever? So we would get more integrated with creative ideas rather than just extending their reach, you know, because part of that TV budget, which is always quite big, part of that can execute all of that as a nice sweetener, as an add-on, more engagement, you know. So I think, and that's where that we really come into play for TV. You know, we're really making that sweat for it works out very cost effective as well, you know. So I hope that sort of answers your question.
Yeah. Talk to your top salesperson.
Yep. Yeah. Even run a competition. We've done that for brands, and we're launching new ad formats now, and I think that's key. So it's our own video player. So we're developing certain skins, you know, where formats can be more interactive while the content's on. Yeah. Audio recognition or fixed skins that you can interact with while the content's still on without interrupting, etc., etc., etc.
Do you ever do anything, like you say you're in pubs and that's a growing area for you? Do you ever do anything with beer brands or any sort of liquor brands where you're watching the screen and it tells you to download the Green King app, and then you download the Green King app to get a free pint or something like that if England win? Because I know Green King do those sorts of things themselves. I just wonder if you've ever done anything where you've almost tried to make it a form of point of sale / direct response, where you're kind of watching the England game and then the next thing you know, you're at the bar redeeming something that was on the telly.
I mean, we've done that outside of pubs. I'll give an example. Service stations is a great one because and pharmacies, funny enough, when we can get access to EPOS data, right, which is critical. We've done things like we've got a great innocent smoothies research case study. You know, I'm gonna crudely promote our website case study because we literally we've had to build case studies. And this innocent one was just an example where running the ads on the big screen, innocent smoothies are sold in service stations. So we did the old, right, how many are being sold without the ad, how many being sold with the ad, how many were sold after the ad, did all the research, and we had physical EPOS data, and we worked that the sales went up when the ad was on. So then they stayed on for quite a few months. Then responses went down, they come off, and they go back on again. So we can do the point of sale in certain locations, but others will literally, like a PIMS, that shrewd, they'll go, well, when it's an event, we want that space.
So that's really interesting, right? Because a lot of digital advertising, if it's brand, so a lot of digital advertising is either direct response or brand. But with the brand stuff, you might do a brand uplift study or something like that. Yeah. But it's kind of lagging indicators, and it's okay. But if you can say, right, we're going to test our creative with C screens before we even put it on telly. Let's say we start with C screens rather than starting with TV. Karen Stacey will kill me because she start with cinema. So start with cinema, then C screens, and then TV. But then if you can link into your service stations and places like that, and just try the creative for a week and see what happens. You know that if that's how it works, that's kind of, that creative is driving actual sales. We know that. Therefore, this is probably a good creative to then roll out. That's as live a test you could do with a piece of creative as I can think.
Well, yeah, and we're doing it with content as well. Like I was saying, like the TikTok stuff, measuring the dwell times.
Is the TikToks, just out of interest, when you mentioned that earlier, I had a question. Do the screen sizes change to shapes? Do you have it like
so in Lakeside? The screens rotate, the huge ones like that. What we are looking at is taking advantage when you do a portrait, like you said, I imagine on the landscape, you've got those two for advertising or branding. So we're looking at new formats around skinning content when it comes to that. TikTok are the only ones as an exception with portrait, but it's showing that you've got TikTok at home now. These guys are getting into this space a lot. And a lot of them spend a lot of money, in out of home when it comes to that. So I feel like we're already talking to other content providers. And do you know what as well? It's interesting because what's gonna draw the eyeballs now. It'd be really interesting to see, like, in 10 years' time, what is that? How does that content change in those environments with these different generations? Because there's the fallacy that they're not watching as much long form. They're watching like 3.5 hours a day, and average half an hour on these sharing platforms. It's just the type of content. It's just gonna be very interesting outside of live sport, etc. How that changes, and again, it's important. What environment is key. The difference is we know, unlike TV, that in that room, how many people are in that room, but we also know what the mood is like in that room, right? So you're watching Wimbledon, people are drinking, it's sun, right? You can see it's like everyone's like, it's a different mindset. So I feel like that we're going to do more research behind the emotions and the positive. Do you receive this more positively in that environment than you do at home if you've been stuck indoors all day? I don't know, right? But we'll be looking into that. And then the Holy Grail, it's not rocket science to say, well, if you're watching this live sport at home, you can't be watching it at our screen. However, we are looking at partnering up to prove incremental reach. So, when you do TV, when you do TV and mobile, when you do TV, mobile, and our TV, as it were, what is the incremental? Like Rob and I did this when we launched the first VOD at ITV. We had to do the incremental reach case study, so we know the formulas and how to do this. When we did the first Shazam for TV, when we did the first product placement, so we need to make sure that it's it's quite lumpy, but it's well worth doing to go, right, this is proper. TV spend got taken off during that period, ours went on. It's a big step for someone, but now we can deliver that reach and scale. You want to know how much is actual incremental reach that I'm doing with my TV campaigns.
Yeah, you mentioned the advertising and sales going up as a result. The smoothie sales going up. It'd be interesting. If I was Stephen Bartlett, obviously that would be a Huel bottle right now. It'd be interesting to see how the product placement, other energy drink. It's not even an energy drink. I don't even know what it is. Other health drinks are available, but you could have product placement in high dwell time where people are watching, and Huel, just for an example, and then just see if the sales go up as a result of being exposed to content with branding in it, right?
Yeah, and again, I love it when digital people get their hands on it. It's straight to a direct response, and it's like it is true, and it's like this is brand. This is a brand experience. Yeah. This is a shared experience. This is an emotional attachment. That's how you build your brand. And there's so much research keep coming out now about being consistent. Yeah. Oh, that didn't work. Take it off. It's like, you've got to be consistent in your messaging, the creative and the emotional attachment that you want and engagement that you want. And as we all know with TV, you know, the ROI on it's been proven many a time. That's why brands still use TV. They might not buy the product. And that's why, shoppable TV, direct response. And like, I'll be interested to see how that works. Because in our environment, we're not going to stop the content. Oh, they need to do this, right? So ours just has to keep flowing. So we'll have formats where you can respond for more or do this, etc. But we can't ruin that experience, right, for everyone else. So again, it's great, all of these shoppable retail media, you know, all these sort of new concepts which aren't new, but people are now making them a thing, which is fine. Now, I've got a big question with, in the future, like, I think the direct response formats or the ad formats of CTV aren't innovative. You know, oh, we're doing a banner. Well, you did that online, right? Oh, we're doing, you know, interstitials. Well, you do that online. What you can't have is too many interactive formats that work on a desktop on a shared screen. It's a shared screen, right? So, you know, you've got your whole family there. Oh, hang on, I'll just stop that. No, I want to do it. It jars with the experience, whether or not there's audio like stop now, and maybe say like add to basket, right? That's your direct response part of that ad, and that goes into your, if you're watching Amazon, that goes into your Amazon basket, right? For me, that would be a logical, humane way of responding to an ad rather than stopping you. You're watching a film, you don't want to stop your film. And this is another thing with the wonderful new CTV world is I'm watching something and I just get an ad break. I've got no warning, I've got no bumper, and I've got how many seconds in the ad. That's a desktop sort of way of delivering. And a lot of my friends are saying, what the hell are these ads are just, and I said, yeah, you know, so I think they'll start learning it's still a shared experience, and there's reasons why there's bumpers, not just for sponsorship. You know, there's, see what I'm saying? So I think that they need to fuse all of their wonderful data and technology and spend with just a bit more how humans still interact with a shared experience.
Yeah. Cool. So TV is a term you've used a few times. TV out of home.
Yeah, we came. Look,
what are you excited about?
Do you know why as well?
TV?
I'm going to name drop Gubbins in this as well, because he was like CTV ooh, and I was like TV. And this is how this acronym came about, because everyone loves an acronym.
We needed another one. We were struggling.
So it's just TV out of home. I mean, whether you acronym or not, it's TV, right? But because we do experiences and stuff as well, you know, that's our sort of add-on. But yeah.
And what are you most excited about for the future of TV?
Do you know what? It's scalable. It's just totally scalable, and it's there. You know, we're expanding content contracts more and more and more. I feel like the measurement needs to be more with more. Not. We're self-regulated by an auditor, but I think if everyone starts using a similar currency of how they get their numbers, because the reason why our CPMs or CPTs are quite high is because we've justified that attendance, not footfall. All right, we can trade in footfall all day long at really cheap rates, but we don't want to do that. We want to ask brands to go around engaged audiences that are there for longer. They might be smaller than what we're reporting on, but it's more accurate. And that's how we get the ratings against those demographics. I think programmatic is going to be really exciting. We're going to be the pioneers in this space. People doing programmatic in for example, no problem. But with CTV,
Digital out of home.
Yes, sorry, digital out of home. But with CTV at the moment, you know, all these fast channels, etc., getting scalability is tricky for them. So we can plug in that scalability like gap for programmatic CTV, tick box, and we're plugging in the gap for the diminishing eyeballs and linear TV in our home. We're plugging in that gap, so it can only grow for both, and it's loads of opportunities for local advertisers. I think for land, I think as well for the public. right? The more free stuff, the better, and
You said local advertiser. That's interesting. I started my career in regional newspapers, which were really strong at the time because it was before the internet, and obviously they're not as strong now. But do you think you'll ever get to the stage where you'll hire people to be in Northwest London and they'll just be selling to Northwest London businesses, Northwest London inventory?
So, in answer to your question, we were looking at this the other day, but just like a news broadcaster, there's a lot of cost to this. But we will be going into regional content as well. We're already doing bespoke content with brands, and the other day was, what was it? We created an ad for someone which was Get the Look. It was filmed at that shopping centre with the brand being used, and it was on that screen. So people starting to recognise on that ad.
That's Superdrug.
I wouldn't.
You can't say. Okay.
No. But like everyone's like, oh, that's filmed here. It's straight away. You've then got attention, So I feel like we will be going into more regional stuff, more bespoke. We do already for landowners. So Lakeside, we curate content for them for their site. Spitalfields, we have content from them that we curate. Power League, we curate as well. So they're already, we're doing because we've advised them to. Why not? You got some airtime here.
I'm thinking Power League should have a TikTok channel if they don't already, and then that's the content that you show in the bar and on TikTok, and then brands can go across both. And
this is it. When I said about interest in fast forward 10 years, how much are those kids going to be watching, and will it be on Sky Sports for football? And is it going to be watched? Amazons and all these are buying all the rights, right? So, and the TikToks and stuff, are they going to do live streams for there one day? Like X does, for example. So it's like, we don't mind, because either way, we control what's on that screen. And that's another interesting path which CTV World and the broadcasters are obviously nervous about. That EPG is disappearing. Everyone's going to the app stores. If that Samsung TV wants that app to be the first and not yours, it's all about the discovery of your content within that hardware, yeah? We don't have that issue, just like the buffering stuff. So we've got to make sure that we continue talking to our audiences, and we actually physically get a team sometimes go down them sites, watch how they engage. Because, like you just said, is it that TikTok becomes a higher share of voice across our screens in certain environments and certain times of the day, but only premium, and we're looking at the long form stuff? But you're right, it's like I said, the content will change and where it's being watched on, and we'll just follow that.
I wonder if pitch one at Power League could be live streamed into the bar.
So Power League, for example, would make sense for maybe a betting partner as such, but they're now looking at naming rights and changing them. But like you said, we were talking about, because they track. Do you know they track? You can wear that thing around your chest, and they can track how much you've run.
Yeah.
All the sort of stats that they have on TV with Jamie Carragher with the screen and stuff. Yeah. They already do that. So it's like, well, how about you get that live? Also make that a competition, and like you said, you should film some of these games. So they're starting to film them more. And what we do is we hash for them, like the tricks and the massive mistakes as well, which are hilarious. That's like a John Smith type audience. Love that. Just boots the ball. All that. It's like, so it's the skillful moments and the funny moments, hash them together. And the kids that are going there, or the adults as well in the evenings, there's nothing better than watching their face, seeing themselves on that screen.
Yeah. If you had enough games going at the same time, you could have a leaderboard screen in terms of total yards run across pitch 1 to 10 or whatever, and obviously that would start getting a bit of traction, and people would want to look at that. Or Bob, you're the top in the whole Power League at the moment for running. Keep going, mate. That sort of thing.
Well, we're doing that, and then we're launching
live data, right? Live sport,
live data. For our retail, we're launching another new interactive ad format for Christmas. So all curated and compliant. But how much can I say on this? the concept isn't new, but it is for this. So it'll be product placement, sponsorships, or funded, but the actual execution. Do you remember years ago around Christmas there being an elf app, whatever? You take a picture of your face and it superimposes it, and you've got a dancing elf.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been around for years. What we find is really interesting is, and now we've got the technology to do this, and we can do it almost real time, is that people within that area will take pictures of themselves, and the system will pick certain faces, whatever, and that will be not just on your that will be on a huge screen, your face in maybe an elf. This is just an example of a concept, but then that elf will be product placed, sponsored, and go to the store. Or I just feel like what we want to do is TV commercials extending, contextually targeting. That's great, really good for branding. I feel like around events and big moments, we want to get a bit more interactive with the audience and the screen.
Right. Rich, we've run out of time, but I've enjoyed that immensely. Thank you very much. I'm glad we managed to get this.
You sounded really excited about that as well.
Did I?
No.
That's just my voice. I've got quite a dull, monotone voice, but thanks for pointing that out. That's been helpful.
I think it's a great face for radio.
Face for radio, yeah. It really hurts when my mum says that, but
how is she? Is she all right?
Lovely, thank you. Yeah, thanks for asking. Thanks so much for being on the podcast. It's been a pleasure.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Really. Cheers, Mike.